Well, it's fun. I mean, I've lived long enough now to see cars get popular and then lose interest again. I mean, probably 15 years ago was the height of the 57 Chevy craze.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
people don't understand. GM stuck fins on the 56 Chevy because they're getting their butt kicked by Chrysler and everybody else. Says, let's put fins on it. And Ford still outsold the 57 Chevy 4 or 5 to 1.
Oh, wow.
The Ford was way, you don't see any 57 Fords around, but they were way more popular in terms of the public. But then when those became used cars, like when I was in high school, those were 10-year-old cars, and those were just what people are buying. So all those guys are just 60, 70, even 80 now. Oh, to them, the pinnacle is the 57 Chevy. But to another whole generation, it doesn't mean anything. What? It's just a big, clumsy car with drum brakes and no ABS and no power steering, you know. So, yeah, it's all what you grew up with.
Well, we've had a good time putting these on, Jay, and, you know, we've always appreciated having you around. But you mentioned earlier, you know, this event, there's a feeling of access, there's a feeling of comfort here, you're not stuffed. What you mentioned, you know, there's free events for everybody. What to you makes Audrain different from these other events?
Well, I think the focusing on the young people is interesting. You know, one thing I notice whenever I take my Countach to a car show, little kids that come over, and I always let them sit in it.
Of course, yeah.
And now I'm meeting guys in their 40s. Guys, you remember me? You let me sit in the car when I was 5, and they have a picture of them sitting in my car, and it really makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And they want a Countach because they got to sit in one.
Yeah.
I hate going to car shows and this sign, don't approach this car unless you're nude, or, you know, all these stupid signs they have. Keep back, this is a collector. No, shut up.
Yeah.
It's just a car. You know, I always let kids sit in the car, grab the wheel.
Yeah.
And it really made an impression on me when I was 9 years old. There was a guy down the street who had a 54 Jaguar, a 51 Jaguar, XK120. I remember I rode him, and he said, and he was some old guy, you know. So he called, you want to sit in it? Yeah, okay, let me sit in it, and all this kind of stuff, you know. So one day I get a letter from a guy, and I told this story on TV a number of times. Hey, you know that guy who let you sit in the car? He's still alive. He's still alive. I mean, he must be 110. How old can he be? Well, when I was 9, he was only 23, but I thought he was 50. When you're a kid.
Yeah.
And I went to see him. Only a few years older than me, and he still has a car. That's what I love about New England. You get, you know, in California, you have a few guys with hundreds of cars. You come here and you have one guy, one car, or one man, one woman, whatever you want to say. One person, and it's in a modest house, and they've taken care of it and cherished it. You know, this guy's 51 Jag. The house was built in like 1680, you know, the low, you know, you have to tip, you know, your head down when you go in, and it's been in his barn since those days. This guy still heats his house with wood.
Wow.
This guy was an Eagle Scout back in the 50s, and he chops wood every day to keep his house. You know, that old New England, just hilarious. And the car is still parked in the same place it was when I saw it in 1959.
Wow. That's incredible.
Hilarious.
And I think too, you know, I think for us three, we've had the unique pleasure of being able to drive a lot of these unique cars in our collection, and a lot of people ask me, and I know them too, what's your favorite car to drive? What is it like driving all these cars? And you think the best part would be driving it, but like you said, my favorite part is sharing it with people, and sharing it with the kids, because when I remember, you know, when I was 6 years old, one of my best friend's dad had a 1963 Corvette convertible,
Right.
and we would the three of us would sit and fit in it, and I would beg him to let me just even sit in it and drive around. And now I get to do that for kids.
It's great fun. It's great fun. It does leave an impression on you.
Yeah.
It just, the cars seem bigger than life when you're that age.
Yeah, it's just like this blue, almost like the Viper over there, and you know, it's something I'll never forget for the rest of my life, and it's probably what has made me such a car person.
Well, it's funny you say that. In a weird way, one of our volunteers, John Oliva, has lent me his Lotus Evora for the week. He insisted I take it. I've never driven a car like that. And yesterday I'm driving through town, and all the kids are waiting for the bus. and this kid's jumping up and down looking at the car. You give him a couple revs, give him a beep, and it made his day.
Oh, yeah.
To me, it's moments like that get kids involved with cars. Do you think, Jay, it's really that's why people are interested in automobiles for their entire life? Is it?
I think it's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, when I got a letter once from a kid, he was like 12. And Jim Leno, I need your help. I told all my friends you were my uncle, and on weekends we would go ride around in your Countach and all this kind of stuff. And they all called me a liar. And could you maybe pick me up someday and give me a ride to school in your Countach and drop me off? So my friends said, no, I'm not a liar. Well, I called the kid and I said, well, first of all, you are a liar. I'm not your uncle. I said, let me speak to your parents. And I spoke to I said, I think it'd be fun to. So I went and I picked him up, and we wait until the school bus, when just as the bus come in, then the Countach comes in and the door goes up and the kid, this is Uncle. All right, Timmy, I'll see you after school. I'll go right around. Yeah, but I realized I guess this kid is in a life of crime now. I don't know what he's doing.
Right.
But
You're a co-conspirator.
I know he's like a Countach fan forever now.
Yeah.
Just based on that one incident.
sure. I know.
And it was funded. I mean, it was morally, it makes no sense why I'm encouraging this line.
Yeah.
But to
least
me,
you told
it seemed reasonably innocent
Right,
because he was
that's
so
funny.
excited about the car,
Well, and we got a kid who hangs around the museum who's always on a scooter. He's looking in the windows. He's always peeking in the gates at our cars. And I happened to see him at the front gate of the Breakers the other day. And off the record, I happened to slip him a ticket, so he was able to at least walk around all day.
Yeah.
And to me,
That's
it's
a lasting impression.
I know, and it's like it's not hard to get kids, 13, 14-year-old kids, in it for life.
Oh, yeah.
It's so.
Yeah.
I remember seeing my first NSX, and it's like a lasting impression. It was like seeing God in the freaking flesh. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I like that drug dealer approach to getting people to some cars. Here you go, kid. It's a
Nice
free one.
handshake.
And then, of course, they're hooked for life.
It's all about the little things.
Come on.
Well, I think for me, growing up in a very Italian household, my dad was always really into Ferraris and everything.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, like really young, I liked fire trucks. I loved
Right.
fire trucks, and I would beg my parents to bring me to the fire station so I could see the fire truck. And then one day, my dad came home with a scale model of a 250 GTO.
Right.
And I remember thinking, I was probably 3 or 4 years old. I'm thinking, well, this is red, and fire trucks are also red, but this looks way cooler
Brilliant.
than a fire truck.
Right.
And then I was just absolutely hooked for life. And I think the three of us, we got a lot of this car and motorcycle passion from our fathers. Mm-hmm. And I remember a couple years ago at Cars and Coffee, there was this probably, 3 or 4 year old kid, and he would run around, and his mom would be chasing him all over the place, and he would come up to my Ducati 900 SS every Cars and Coffee, and he'd be like, getting his fingerprints all over. I mean, I didn't care.
Right.
He'd get his fingerprints all over it, and he'd be like, oh my God. So one day I go, you want to sit on it? And he was like, so I picked him up and I put him on the bike, and then I started it, and he was going brum 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 brum, and I put his hand on the throttle, and he was like revving it, and that was the greatest day of his life.
And now his mom hates you.
Yeah,
He's got
absolutely.
a little scooter going around.
Yeah, my dad never understood why you pay more for an old car than a new car. You got a brand new car for that. What are you talking about? You got a new Cadillac. Why would you buy? Just never got it.
Yeah. I think a lot has changed now. I mean, kids. I think because of the internet and because of how companies are pumping out cars. I think kids 16, even 12 years old who can't drive are getting into cars more and more.
Yeah.
Jay, do you think the car culture is different now than when you were our age? Like, how has it changed?
It's different in that when I was a kid, it was the culture. So
Right.
even people who knew nothing about cars, because the music, 409, people sang about cars, little GTO, all these stupid songs, fun, take the T-Bird away, all that kind of stuff. So they pretended to know cars when really they didn't. I find now young people either have no interest or know everything.
Right.
It's one extreme or the other. Like everything else in life now, you specialize in one particular thing. And so the people I meet that are knowledgeable, like McPherson's students, boy, they know everything.
Yeah.
Or they know nothing. Because you have to understand, like when I was a kid, there was a great satisfaction. You'd buy a car that was broken and you got it to run. So you always felt that sense of accomplishment that you could get at home.
Right.
modern cars you really can't fix, especially on the road.
Right.
There's no open the hood and there's a big switch, and
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do. You can't replace electronic ECU unit or
Right.
whatever it is. So it's a bit discouraging. So you don't. When you start out in go-karts and lawnmowers, okay, I see how this works, that sort of seals the deal. So I see why it's either one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest difference. I mean, to me, I was in front of the DMV when I was 15 3/4, just waiting for the for the clock to turn. Now I meet kids 22. I'm going to get my license maybe next year, see what happens.
Yeah.
To them, it's like, I have to go down there and go take a test. It's too much trouble. It just strikes me as very funny.
Yeah, and
it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
That is funny too, because I think social media has a lot to do with that too. Because, when I was in high school, there was no Instagram or any of that stuff, and when you saw a unique car, it was a moment, right?
Well,
it
sure.
was like,
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm seeing this car,
Right.
but now
It's flooded.
cars are like.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, the only place you saw, especially a little town in New England, Andover, Massachusetts, you'd wait for the new road and track, and there would be a Cobra. The image of Carroll Shelby standing with the GT350 Mustang, the Ford Cobra, and the GT40, and he's standing like that.
Yeah.
It's burned in your mind because that was the only place I saw it, and it was in color.
Yep.
Right.
You didn't.
Right.
You didn't really. In my neighborhood, anything with less than 4 doors might as well be a Ferrari. You just didn't see
Yeah.
interesting something. It was the kind of thing where people go, last night a Cobra drove through the McDonald's. Oh, I missed it.
Yeah. Exactly.
You hang around till 10, then at 10:30 it drives. And you just wanted to see it because you didn't see.
Right.
You had to wait to the next issue of Road and Track to see what the next year's cars are going to look like.
Yeah.
Now you just go on the internet and you see whatever you want.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and I think it's a good point you make, Jay, because I think everything is flooded now. And we had a car here this weekend, the Dodge Charger Electric Concept.
Right.
It's gotten some slack online, but people haven't seen it in person. That thing rolled into the gathering. The lines on that car are absolutely pure.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's a fantastic car, and I think people are seeing cars online, like we were talking about the new M2, the new BMWs. People see them online. Okay, well, it's not my thing. You see it in person, it's a bit different. And this Charger, I think,
Right.
is a great example of that. People need to experience these things in person. They're getting too used to just seeing pictures on a small cell phone screen
And
in
then
front of their
making
face.
a decision.
Making a decision, and that's it.